Hey girls, okay. How's everybody doing today? I want to come on here real quick. Owen's taking a nap right now, and I think I have like a safe 10-15 minutes. So I really want to come on here because this has been really like pressing on my mind, and for quite a while, and I've been doing a lot of research. I'm writing my book, and there's just so much clarity. And what I've observed through, hello, whoever joined, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you all to the replay viewers as well. I love seeing you guys on here. Feel free to say hi if you're on live or if you're on replay, and also a special shout out to YouTube viewers too. I haven't been nurturing my YouTube channel as much lately, and there's been a lot of awesome new subscribers and comments on there. So I am making a point too to really nurture you guys much more so. So thank you so much for being here with me. So what I've discovered and what I've been talking a little bit about more lately is that, fertility is really like a byproduct. And on the flip side of that coin, infertility, I fucking hate that term by the way, but for the purposes of this video, we'll say infertility is also a byproduct. And it's all really a byproduct of this cultural conditioning and this in a lot of ways, cultural conditioning. So the toxins in our environment, food sourcing, the fucking food that we eat nowadays as well too. So much of it isn't even food. It's like Franken food. And so on the very physical plane, we've got this cultural conditioning. We also, as women, are like fighting so much more for equality, which is amazing. We have so much more equality than we have, and how that's impacted us is that we are fighting. We are fighting so much for equal pay and stressing out and working our asses off, like 60 to 80 hours a week or whatever, to try to keep up and to really provide for ourselves and take care of ourselves. And that is stress. Nobody should work that much, and we do all the time. Like I was talking about last week, if you watched any of the Awakening Your Divine Feminine videos, I've still got this itchy rash on my arm from that fucking gluten that I had over a week ago. So if you followed any of those videos from last week, I talked a lot about this, right? We've been in this masculine, male-dominated society for centuries. I don't think anybody can argue with that, right? So there's been this cultural oppression against women of all races, of all castes, and we've had to work extra hard, so much harder, it seems like, than men to get ahead, right? And to really claim our independence. And that stress, we're getting away from the female, feminine aspects of ourselves when we do that. And combine that now then with, the foods that we're eating, toxins in our environment, we are completely out of balance. Completely out of balance. And what that does is that impacts us on a physical level. So really what that does is that puts us into survival mode, right? So we are fighting, we are surviving to get ahead, to support ourselves and to equally support our families, or to show that we are fucking enough, right? We're just fighting to show that we're enough. I mean, ultimately, I think that's what a lot of it comes down to. So tell me if I'm wrong. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? Let me know how you think about that statement. I'm certainly not the first person to make that statement, but I see it more and more. And maybe enough isn't the right word for you. Maybe you are fighting to feel adequate, right? Like, ultimately. And all of that, like, that puts us in survival mode. And when we feel like we're inadequate, if we tell ourselves consciously or otherwise that we are inadequate, or if we have this subconscious belief that maybe wasn't even picked up by something from our childhood, although usually it is, you know, maybe it's just something that we picked up because society said so, that now subconsciously we don't believe that we're enough. We don't believe that we can achieve whatever we want to achieve. And guess what? Like, that sure as shit is going to impact anything you want to accomplish and achieve, whether it's in business, in a relationship, whether it's with money, whether it's trying to and wanting to become a mom and have a baby, right? So, like, fertility and infertility are byproducts of this belief, this conditioning, and ultimately it's an imbalance, right? It's an imbalance of the male and female aspects. And that can, again, come back. We can look at that on the physical plane with, you know, okay, so for example, taking medication because you've had period cramps or awful periods your whole life, like, masking that, like, that's a very male-centric, like, the energies there are very male-centric, right? Like, that's very clinical, like, oh, you have this here, so you do this, right? And oh, that didn't work, so, you know, do this, like, let's slap a band-aid on that, right? Like, we're just gonna do a patchwork job. I talk about, like, fertility as like building a house. So we'll say, like, okay, you've got, like, this, you know, your house is really imbalanced. So instead of really, like, going down to the foundation and working at the core, right, and letting everything else balance out as a result of balancing out and fixing the core there, we're just gonna, like, throw some, like, speckle or whatever on here and, like, hope that that will hold the job. And it probably will for a little bit until some other major stress comes along, and then now you have all these other, like, cracks in your walls. That's a fucking brilliant metaphor right there, actually. I've never used that particular part, and I like that a lot. So fertility is like one of these, like, cracks in the wall, right? Like, and then a storm comes along, or even like your period health, your cycles, those are like these cracks in the wall. And, you know, medicine, you know, like, is going to, like, just try to, like, speckle over that crack in the wall, but not really actually taking care of the core issue, right? So that being said, like, what is the core issue here? The core issue is that we have this imbalance, that we're unsupported and male dominated and not really owning, like, the feminine aspects of ourselves, right? The nurturing, the taking time to reflect and to, like, relax, and the cycles, right? Like, as women, we're cyclical. I actually read an awesome quote from Yogi Bhajan just earlier today, and I love it, so I'm going to put that on there. But it's like, we as women traditionally, you know, thousands of years ago, would go sit in our period in a red tent, right? And it was this time where we were releasing, and we would relax and just connect with other women and be present and take care of each other, right? We weren't out there doing anything else. We were simply releasing. And we would have like 5 days to like release and reflect and not go do a bunch of extraneous labor and work, and we would really nurture this time for ourselves and appreciate it, right? But now, like, how have you thought about your period your whole life? I remember for me, before my period started, it was like this like crazy scary thing. I didn't know what to think of it. And then when it finally did, like, my mom kind of made a big deal out of it, embarrassed the shit out of me. And then I was, it was always said that like your period is a pain in the ass, right? Oh, I got my period, it sucks, it's painful, like fuck this, I have to use tampons, and oh my God, I have to stick something up there. Oh, what? I was a swimmer, so I had to use tampons. And, there's always this negative connotation, or, oh, I'm have a trip coming up, and, my boyfriend's gonna be there, and like, it's gonna be super romantic, but oh my God, we're gonna have my period. I can't fucking believe that. Like, my period is such a pain in the ass. Or we talk about Aunt Flo. Aunt Flo came to visit. That fucking sucks. Think about how negative that is, right? Like, where did this shift go from really nurturing our periods to then all of a sudden, like, there was this shift that happened, and now our periods are a pain in the ass. And that's gotta stop, right? Like, our periods aren't a pain in the ass. Like, it's a fucking beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that we get our period every month. Whether you're trying to get pregnant or not, getting your period is an incredible thing. And if you've had irregular periods, I'm kind of like going off on a tangent, but I think this is all like really important to say, right? So if you have had irregular periods your whole life, let's look at the stresses. Like, how was your childhood? Not even around your period. Did you have a rough childhood? Was it really emotional? Did your parents go through a divorce and put you in the middle of it? What was your female influences, right? Like, were you brought up that being a girl was hard? Were you brought up to think or believe that being a girl wasn't a good thing, that you weren't gonna be able to like get enough, or boys could do all this fun stuff but girls had to sit and like, do the home ec or whatever it was? What were your beliefs growing up about being a girl and about your period, and what emotionally was going on? So this will be really, really insightful for you. And you might wonder what the hell this has to do with cycles, and particularly with fertility. So on an energetic level, your womb is your seat of emotions, right? We store emotions in our womb. Each of our organs has different emotions that it tends to store. Like your liver tends to store, hold on to fear or anger, excuse me. And fear is certainly associated with anger, but your liver is directly also, like, on a physical level related to your hormonal health, which is directly related to your fertility. But your seat of emotions is your second chakra, and your womb rests in your second chakra. So if there's a lot of emotional stress that has occurred in your past, if you think about a memory in your past, and if there's still an emotional connection, if you still get angry or if you still get sad from thinking about that, then there's still an emotional tie there. And that will sit in your womb, and that will impact your fertility. So are you seeing how, like, on physical levels and emotional levels and even energetic levels, like, these all come together? This is one of the biggest thing that sets me apart from other fertility nutritionists that I've come apart. Like, yeah, nutrition is so fucking important. It's so important. Not only what you eat, but how you eat it, what you're eating when. There's a lot of strategy to nutrition. It's not just what you eat. Like, that information is, I mean, don't just go get that from anybody on Pinterest or Google, because there's so much misinformation in there, but go to the file section. If you're new to this group, there's a lot of new group members. Go to the file section and download my Eat to Conceive ebook. Like, I'm giving that to you for free just by being in here. Like, that information is totally like, please take that, and yes, start incorporating that. But there's so much more to it, right? Like, are you breaking down and absorbing the nutrients so that you can actually utilize them? Are you eating the right foods at the right time to support your hormonal balance? Are you eating the right food for breakfast to support your energy throughout the day? Are you, you know, like, what's the kind of like ratio of macronutrients? That's, you know, also pretty easy information to come by, but there's so much strategy, right? Like, how do you reset your hormones with food? Like, there is strategy to that. So, but then there's also this subconscious piece, this energetic piece, and this emotional tie to it. And so much of it comes down to like it's womb centric. Ooh, I like that term. I've been playing with words a lot because I'm like writing a book, right? So, and I'm putting together, like, you know, new programs in the future. So I'm kind of like putting them together now. So I've been playing with a lot of words. And one of the things that this concept that I really, really like, and maybe I'll do a whole nother live video on this alone, is your innate potential. Every single one of us has this innate potential. And here's an example, and I know you're gonna be able to resonate with this. So you're at a store, right? Like, you're at a store, you see this gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous dress. You can picture yourself in it. It fits you perfect. Maybe you even go try it on. But maybe, you know, like you're starting to like daydream about like, oh my gosh, the color, oh, this fabric, it feels so soft and like smooth and divine. Oh my gosh, it's gotta feel so good to wear. And that cut is just perfect for my body. I will look like a fucking goddess in this dress. And you start daydreaming and you get really, really excited about that, right? And then something happens and you're like, but when am I ever gonna wear that dress? And you know, it's like, it's so nice, it's probably way too expensive, I'm not even gonna look at the price tag. Or you do let yourself look at the price tag and you're like, yep, way too expensive, there's no way I can ever afford that, I can ever justify that, I can ever you know, there's no way I will ever even find an excuse to wear something this nice and to ever look this nice. So you talk yourself out, right? You get really, really, really excited. And then like in a second, all these things go through your head and you're like, no, what is that? So this is actually like, this is so much of like everything, right? So this innate potential, you see something and you immediately, like deep down in your gut, you desire it. And you're like, yes, oh my gosh, this will make me feel like, oh, I'll be such an incredible, like gorgeous, sexy, beautiful, radiant goddess. And then you like talk yourself out of it, right? So why? Why don't you believe? Who cares if you don't have any excuse to wear that dress? Why don't you believe that you deserve that, right? Like that, and that's just one example, but we do that all the time, particularly as women. And this is really, I strongly believe this is very culturally conditioned. So some of the words that I saw when I was researching potential and going down the line of what potential is and researching synonyms and stuff like that was So potential, one of the words, I found this so fascinating, one of the synonyms for potential is embryonic. Another synonym is conceivable. I'm totally looking at my notes here because I did this whole like tracking thing. A synonym for embryonic, right, going down from there, from potential, is germinal, undeveloped. And then, you know, well, budding was one from potential. But again, if a synonym for budding is germinating, blossoming, pubescent. And then, going down from there, because I'm not saying all the words that I found. So one of the synonyms for potential is dormant, and from dormant we got sluggish, right? It's asleep, hibernating. So there's this innate hibernating. This is exactly what I was talking about, like this tapping into the divine feminine energy from last week. So there is this hibernating potential that resides within every single one of us. It's innate, it's instinctive, it's visceral, it's a part of us, and it's asleep. And another synonym for this is virgin. So do you see how many words that come from potential refer and come right back to fertility, right? Like how that was, my mind was fucking blown by doing this the other day, right? You've got embryonic, you've got conceivable, you've got pubescent, you've got germinating, you've got virgin. And on this, another one, this is massive, spiritless. So why I'm talking about all this is because you have this, you know, incredible innate potential. You get so excited. If you see that dress at the store, you get so excited, and then you immediately talk yourself out of it. This is what happens. Like that process, that shift, that's the core issue. And fertility or infertility is a byproduct of that core issue. So now you see this incredible dress, you're getting really excited. Now you have like this crux, it's a fork in the road. You can go one way or the other. You can buy that dress, even though there's no reason in your mind to buy that dress. It's way more expensive than you can justify spending on yourself, because whatever. And it's nicer, it's far nicer than anything you have in your wardrobe. Or you can play it safe and you can go this route because, maybe I'll put some money towards, you know, groceries, or I'll pay on my credit card a little bit more, or again, there's no reason for me to buy that dress, so I'm just not going to. Which route do you normally take? I'm guessing it's this one, right? You're not going to buy it because why? So there's this cross that happens, right? And when we go this way, it's like spiritless. We talk ourselves out of it. We are a martyr. We are giving up our desires for justifiable reasons. And because we've been taught that there's no reason for me to have that, who am I to have that? It's totally like, I'm totally not an adequate enough person to have a dress like that. How many times do you even subconsciously make that decision, right? And this directly impacts your fertility. So what if you start taking this road more often? What if you start allowing yourself to have those desires? And as you have more and more of those desires, you are opening up this attention, this energy. And this, if you start following this road, guess what's going to happen in your life? You're not even going to be able to guess, because so much is going to unfold for you. I can't can't even explain, but as you start following your desires and acting in service of your desires rather than acting in service of your ego and these beliefs that have been running the freaking show for you your whole life, guess what's gonna happen? Like, your whole freaking world is gonna explode in the most incredible way. And that is like this road here, this cross, this is what is either allowing you to like get pregnant and have the family of your dreams, the family you desire, or it's running the show. And even though consciously you want it, still, you know, well, kids are expensive and, you know, I don't know, I've always felt inadequate and, you know, I'm not good enough. So, you know, there's this road. So what are the subconscious stories that are going on in the back of your head? You get to the root of that and you start making choices in your life that are going to start more following your desires. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get pregnant if that's what you want. Like, that's your desire. Like, that's going to start happening for you, right? But you've got to get down to the core issue, right? So, and the core issue is, frankly, you're allowing yourself to be held back, however difficult that is. So how do you change that? Like, start nurturing yourself, right? Just start nurturing yourself. Start loving yourself. Start owning how fucking incredible you are, because you are so absolutely amazing. You're so amazing. So, you know, and I know when you've probably heard like your best friend or your mom or whoever talk down about themselves, right? And it sounds ridiculous when they do. I know, you know what I'm talking about, right? But how does it feel? Like, do you think they would just let you talk down about yourself all the time? You probably try to do your best to perk them up, right? But like, subconsciously, we all do this to ourselves. Like, it's how we are conditioned. It's this cultural conditioning that we as women, like, we've been experiencing forever, and that directly impacts our womb, right? We talk down against ourselves. Like, we are females, right? And as we push aside this feminine energy and really only focus on the masculine energy, because every single person, man and women, has male and female aspects, right? But we've been conditioned that being feminine and being female is weak, and we need to be strong and resilient, and, you know, we need to go, and we need to fight, and we need to survive. That's suppressing that feminine. And guess what else that's suppressing? It's your fertility. It's everything. It's everything. So start owning and embracing those feminine aspects of yourself. It's okay to be emotional. Emotions are energy in motion. My coach says that all the time, and it's so true. Emotions are energy in motion. There is not one good or bad emotion. What you choose to do with that emotion, you know, that has much more of an impact, right? So yes, start thinking positively and all that, but that's only going to go so far, because if you are masking and spackling these negative thought patterns with positive emotions, you're still not taking care of the root problem. So take care of the root problem, and when you do that, when you like fill up and balance that whole core issue and like fix it, everything else happens. Everything else happens, okay? So, in case you are wondering, because I know you are, how do you fully 100% do that? How can I help you do that? That's what my Make Me a Mama Mastermind, that starts next week, is all about. We will fill up and balance that whole core on a physical and an emotional and a spiritual level. Yeah, we'll make sure you're eating the right food for you, and also making sure that you're utilizing the right strategy for you and how you eat and what you eat and when. to make sure that your eggs are being fully nurtured, that your husband's sperm are being fully nurtured as well, because they are equally important as the health of your egg and your uterine environment. We're gonna make sure your uterine environment is so of the utmost pristine, beautiful, beautiful space that any fetus is going to want to implant there and stay there. So on a physical level, we are totally going to do that. And then what we're also really going to do is we are going to untap and break into and fucking break apart these subconscious stories and really tap into this feminine, this dormant, asleep energy that resides within you. And I am so freaking excited for that, because that is when everything happens. So if you want to find out more about that, if you want to talk to me, if you're not so sure that it's right for you, hit me up, send me a message, or leave a comment here. Tell me that you want to find out more about it, tag me in it just to make sure I don't lose it, and I'll send you a message. So you know, there's no reason for this to hold you back anymore, because now you're aware of it, right? And you're gonna start, next time you go to the store, you're gonna remember this crossroads I talked about, right? And when you do that and you're like, fuck, she was right, then reach out to me, right? Because let's fix all of this. Let's get your womb on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level nurtured and supported at her core. Because when you do that, fertility happens in no time. So like, let's do that. Make Me a Mama starts next week. Hit me up. Like, let's get you pregnant. There's no reason that this whole like dragging on needs to happen anymore. If you've been trying for several years and it hasn't been happening, it's because you've got this underlying stuff going on, and it needs to get fixed, because until it does, until it gets identified and broken down and rewritten with new stories, it's not gonna happen. And like, I'm being just so fully honest with you there. So like, let's take care of that. We're gonna do all of that and Make Me a Mama. It's just a small group of 6 freaking incredible women, and weekly group calls, your own private Facebook group with constant access to me throughout. I've got some freaking awesome bonuses. I've got a womb healer coming in to do a womb healing for everybody. We're gonna be doing grocery store tours. We're gonna be doing group healing. We're gonna be doing group coaching, and you get each week individualized support. So you not only get a lot of support and one-on-one customization from me, but also from each other, and it's freaking powerful and so amazing. So I hope to see you there. I know you want it, and I know that it is going to just change your freaking world. So let's do this. Hit me up, send me a PM, leave a comment here, but just make sure to tag me, and so I don't, you know, accidentally skip over it, because sometimes I get a lot of comments and stuff, and I sometimes miss things. So anyways, I thank you so much for being you. Like, let's freaking do this. You know, if you're seriously ready, if you're ready, like, that's a legitimate question. Are you ready? Are you ready to like start buying all the little tiny clothes and seeing a positive pregnancy test and start actually being able to take bump pics and having people marvel at your bump? Then let's do this. I am gonna go check on my little sleeping baby, and I'll talk to y'all soon.